Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Gracious good morning to you, good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. It is Friday, July 25th, and it's 4:14 in the a.m. Time seems to be really slow today. Anywho, let me just get into what I need to say. Notice the choice of words, not what I want to say, what I need to say. We received a news report yesterday on the passing of Terry Bollea. I don't know how you pronounce the last name, but AKA Hulk Hogan. That's how most people in this country know him. I'm going to talk a minute about the subject. But I'm going to say the adage that I grew up hearing and just say I'm going to throw this adage out the window for the time being. The adage is, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything. And I'm sure we've heard that. Many of us have heard that for most of our lives. I don't consider what I'm about to say nice in the way of a eulogy, but I want to be mindful that a person has passed away. How about that? So I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. You know, when the news announced that Hulk Hogan had passed, I didn't see Hulk Hogan as a superstar as people are depicting him. I didn't see him, or I don't recognize him as, a phenomenal human being as people are describing him. I want you to look at who's describing him that way. What stands out for me is, who he has aligned himself with. Now, for me, this particular individual is the poster boy for white Christian nationalism. That's how he stands out for me. Now, there's going to be some folks who disagree. And yeah, I'm just going to say, and yeah. The thing that just made all of this news yesterday just hard for me to hear, hard for me to watch, it's just all the accolades given, what I know about this person. And I don't know him personally. I know what he's done and what he said. And it was a very racist rant, that has become very indicative of, again, who he has aligned himself with, and the common language that's spoken amongst the collective group while they are smiling in your face and gladly taking your money. Because that's what dictates how, I want to say, the white Christian evangelicals and nationalists move, for the most part. I'm not saying all, but enough to be noticeable. Hulk Hogan will always be known by that racist rant for me. While he's walking around smiling and shaking hands and kissing babies and calling each other, everybody he comes across as brother. Yeah, there's some people I won't call brother or sister because I know how they feel about me. Go with God, the God you serve. But for me, go away from me as well. You can have your reconciliation or your rebirth without my knowing about it. That born again process. And many of us embrace this as the earmark of a Christian. It's like, what are you born again into? It's like, it's a misuse of, I want to say, theology. It's a misuse of the word. Because there's still hate in your heart. And I have to work very hard about allowing that spirit to seep into me as I see and hear the misrepresentation about God and what people are content with, what people aren't willing to fight for, even though they know something is wrong. I think that in and of itself irks me more than knowing that there are underhanded people that exist. And there are. Many of us have the propensity to go to, I want to say, base brain, corrupt nature. Many of us. I myself have just shared that on some instances, my first thought is revenge. How do I get back to what I know about Christ? I have to sit my happy self down and reconcile my thoughts to God's thoughts. Reconnect my thoughts to God's thoughts by His Word. And seeing His actions described in throughout Scripture. See, this is what most folks fail to realize. Now, we'll talk about history all day long. But what happened to the Africa in how we project Scripture? And from the very foundation of our understanding of theology, those parts of Scripture weren't canonized. So there is an underlying theme of thought that teaches that black doesn't have an influence, that teaches that people of color need extra support and guidance, that endorses subjugation, and not in the context, the cultural context that it was used in during battle. It's funny how we can cite that, but not cite the subjugation piece. Africa is throughout Scripture. You just need to know where to look. But we've been taught to deny that piece. We've been programmed to not look for that peace. You know, if you think about Antony and Cleopatra, which we embrace to the hilt. You know, we've made giant movies, Cecil B. DeMille productions about, you know, the Bible and Antony and Cleopatra and Mark Antony. We know all about that. But somehow, because we made these characters Caucasian, Africa was really discredited. Now, if you look at the movies, the black people in these movies were pretty much slave roles and like carrying the thrones and loading ships and, you know, eunuchs. That's who these roles were. It's like in the movie with Elizabeth Taylor, you know, when she's in the bath. Did you notice that there were no black women present? Yeah, that part. So I need us to reframe our thinking. And as far as Hulk Hogan goes, you know, I need us to get past the so-called celebrity and reframe our thinking. Now, yeah, I wish the brother well in his afterlife. I wish the family well in their present life. But I want us to stop slapping celebrity stickers on situations that need examination of hows and whys.